Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. The person most people consider the greatest of all time sadly passed away this weekend. Muhammad Ali, an icon of the sport, an icon inside the ring and outside of the ring. Sad weekend. I didn't really want to do a show this weekend, man, but the show has to go on. But what are your most memorable Ali moments?
He's got so many. It's difficult to pick one. I suppose the generic expected one would be a Rumble in the Jungle with George Foreman.
Yeah,
I see a lot of people are going to say that. I'd actually say really he's run towards the end of his career where he had nothing left and he was still winning, just on sheer will and incorporating every other part of his game when the physical element of his game had evaporated. Personally, like his fights with Cleveland Williams, that's when he was at his physical apex. We destroyed him, and he's got so many. His career can be split into two. You know, the dancing boxer Ali, and then after the 3 years he took out of the ring because of the draft situation. After that, probably, Joe Frazier. The Joe Frazier fights, the George Foreman fights, he's got so many, Cam, it's difficult to pin down one.
No, you're totally right. For me, one is really the Foreman one. Just for tactically, because some people say, oh, was it really a tactic? Did he just realise in the first round that he's not going to be able to, keep moving this much? And he used that as a kind of plan B. But even if he did, I give him the benefit of the doubt because Foreman was a killer, man. He was taking everybody out, and you look at his record. He never went more than 4 rounds at that time. So let a guy blow his gas tank, and then he's there for the taking, and that's what happened. For me, that is one of the most iconic moments. But one thing I love about his legacy is he was like a true world champion. Like now, guys always want to fight in their own backyard. They never want to travel anywhere. Where you look at his resume, you go into BoxRec, and it is just different city after different city. Yeah, some of the places he fought was when he was on the slide, but nevertheless, he travelled the world. People used to, adore him wherever he went, and there's no one really in sports right now that has that same effect.
Of course, even you look at his win against Henry Cooper, he got dropped heavy fighting in London.
Yeah, the first fight was in Wembley, second one was at, I think, Arsenal's ground.
Yeah, and listen, this is why Muhammad Ali is the greatest. The greatest would lose that fight against Henry Cooper. If he wasn't the greatest, he would have lost. But he had the greatest team around him. He had the best trainers around him who know what to do. He's a winner. Regardless of all the bravado, all the talk, he backs it up. Like, I'm sure he's got a famous quote where he says, it's not bragging if you can back it up. And you look at all these kind of pretenders, not just in boxing, but in MMA, for example. I don't want to take shots at Conor McGregor. This is not why we're here. But, if he was on a magnitude of a Muhammad Ali, he wouldn't have lost that last fight he had. But that's Muhammad Ali. He'll find a way to win. He'll fucking cut a glove, or his trainer will cut a glove, and he'll win by hook or cranny. Anything he can do to win, anything. That's the kind of magnetism that he's got. He's just above everything else. He's a winner, gold medalist, 3-time heavyweight world champion. I don't even know if that's been done yet. Since, don't think it is. And that's incredible with all these weak divisions we've had since.
Yeah, that's true. All these belts available now as well, unlike before.
Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in because of the talk about Ali, and it really didn't hit me personally until I saw that HBO special. That was some powerful stuff that they did, especially with Lee Schreiber, and I'm just amazed that they're able to create that and build that in such a short notice. Obviously, after Ali's passing, it was pretty incredible to watch. And he really is the greatest of all time, not just because of what he was able to accomplish in the ring, obviously, but just what he stood for. And those 3 years that he took off from 66 to 69, I really can't imagine many human beings who would forego their earning power, who would forego the prime of their career, and who would forego all that spotlight and all that fame just for a cause that they believed in to that degree. I mean, obviously, there were some reasons for him to not fight that could have been selfish. I mean, obviously, it's your own well-being in your life, but still to believe in a cause and not to cave in, to me, is amazing in and of itself. And I think it's even more amazing than what he was able to accomplish in the ring. And I know that we're here to talk about boxing and all that stuff, but like, I'm more interested in that aspect of Ali's career, like what he stood for as a human rights activist, as a politician almost, and definitely as a sports icon. And yeah, and regarding his fights, for me, his most memorable performance was obviously Thrill in Manila. I don't really know another kind of setting that was so captivating. I mean, that fight, Cam, that you mentioned regarding Foreman versus Ali, that fight, when it took place, it was 100 degrees and crazy humid. So for Ali to be able to withstand that amount of punishment and to go 15 and eventually beat this guy who was in his prime while he was, 4, 5, 6 years removed from his prime is truly mind-boggling to me. And the more you look at it nowadays, you have guys who call themselves champions, and it's just pretty disgraceful when you compare it to a guy like Muhammad Ali. I mean, honestly, you think of a guy like Adrian Broner, who crowns himself as a 4-time world champion at 4 different weight classes, and then in the history books in 100 years down the road, that's going to be compared to a fellow champion in Ali. It's pretty shameful, and it kind of highlights how poorly the sport is ran today when you compare it to the glory days of the past. So there's just a lot of things that come to mind, and I think one highlight of that HBO documentary, or that little commemorative video that they shot, that stood out to me, was that there really is no amount of praise or no descriptive or adjective that you can use that would be too outlandish to describe Muhammad Ali. He's truly the one guy that you can just say anything about, and people will generally agree upon just because he is that great.
Remember when I was in the States, I said to you that you're like wise beyond your ways and your old head and young shoulders. Ali was the same. Like, when you see him in interviews at 18 and 19, like when he was at the Rome Olympics, and just his confidence and how well spoken he was, and you wouldn't think that he was so young. And even when he was 25, 26, 27, it was like a knowledgeable 45-year-old that's seen the world, seen things that it's refreshing. And even now, there's not really anyone that's young that has the same presence of him. Not even in boxing, just in general celebrity or sports. There's no one really like him. I don't think there possibly won't be anyone like him again.
Yeah, that's a great point, Cam, because that was something I was thinking about yesterday as well. I don't think it'll be possible for another sports star to be kind of at Ali's stature and his kind of omnipresent popularity, just because it's so funny. We live in such a PC-friendly era nowadays, right? Where athletes aren't supposed to say anything. They say the same thing over and over again. And yet there's so much media access. Yet Ali transcended that. I mean, he spoke his mind, and he was intelligent, and he was just wise beyond his years. And that's the part I'm going to miss most about him. And that's the thing that I miss about sports in general nowadays.
Yeah. Ali wasn't perfect, though. We're celebrating his life, so I don't want to go into too many negatives, but in the back of my mind, I never really liked the way he treated Fraser. When Fraser stood by him during his stance on the Vietnam War, he was helping him financially. He was trying to get his boxing license back. Some say, yeah, well, because they needed each other. He needed a foe which would elevate him to a higher stature in boxing. Fair enough, but he was still there for him. And just the constant years of, like, maybe the abuse for the first fight, but after that, I think Ali could have shown him more respect. But who am I to judge? Because even Ali apologized to him publicly and to his son, and I think his son said that they did meet in person, and he did apologize before Frazier passed away. So I'm glad they settled the differences they had.
I totally agree. He's no angel, but what he is the greatest. I was thinking about this today. I was thinking, if it wasn't for Muhammad Ali, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. There would be no boxing coalition.
True, what's crazy is people talk about like basketball, the dream team, how they brought it across the world, and like now people are playing basketball, and the level of basketball all over the world is so much better, and all this influx of talent in the NBA was because of the dream team. And like Cam said about Ali, you look at his box record, he just being a world ambassador, like spreading the sport, is probably the thing that, like, besides politically and all that stuff, that he had the biggest impact on. Just being an actual world champion, not just a guy with a belt that fought in like only New York or only Vegas or something like that.
Exactly, Kev.
Yeah. It was like a one-man empire just conquering fucking new lands for boxing. He was boxing. There is no one after him, no one before. And you know what? It makes me sad, Kev. Like, Ali's gave boxing and all the boxers after him this brilliant platform. Like Dan was saying, I'm just going to kind of elaborate on that. He's given boxing this brilliant platform to build on. But everyone's kind of dropped the ball. There's there is only one Ali, but it doesn't mean you can't strive to be him. Take on all comers, take on all challenges. When did you'll say this about Muhammad Ali? He docked no one.
No.
He's not like a Sugar Ray Leonard who could have fought Aaron Pryor. He's not like a fucking. I mean, there's so many boxers you could name who have ducked at least one guy. Fucking Sugar Ray Robinson, but Charles Burley. Muhammad Ali fought everyone.
Yeah, whoever the best was at the time, because he truly thought he could win. Like, even when he was getting older, like against Larry Holmes, and everybody knew he was going to lose. Like they said, he could look in the mirror and convince himself that he's Ali, so he's going to win. So he would take every fight because he legitimately thought he was going to win.
And that
era
he would take
every fight.
That era was the golden era of.
My boy.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that era was the golden era of heavyweights as well. Like, a lot of people and I understand argue the fact that maybe Robinson was the greatest, but for me, like, Robinson fought a lot of dudes that weren't really on his level. Where the reason Ali rematched on and fought guys 3 times because the division was so strong, and like the first or the second fight was so good that a third one was required. That's why, for me, he's the greatest. Sorry to cut you off, Dan. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to I was actually going to bring that up, that point up too. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, 3 years of Ali's prime, and I'm talking the peak of his prime, were eliminated because of the whole incident that he had with obviously enlisting in the war. So from ages 26 to 29, that's generally the 3 years that are the prime of any boxer's life. So that was stripped from him. And yet he was able to accomplish all of this despite that. So just imagine if he had those 3 years to continue to be in the best shape of his life, to continue his training, and just to continue to build upon the skills that he already had existing prior to that. That's just incredible.
And Dan, in addition to that, it's not like 3 years where he's chilling. There's 3 years where legitimate federal prison time is hanging over his head. He's running out of money. So it's not like he's staying in shape and he's doing all. These are 3 years of where he's basically just stressed out, pounding coffee, like trying to scramble, and that was his prime. So we never really even seen the best of that he could be, It was the most stressful 3 years, 3.5 years out. It wasn't like it wasn't something where he was able to do exhibition, stay in great shape, and do all that. But he was basically just completely out of it.
Yeah, he was traveling to colleges, giving speeches, just trying to get
doing Broadway plays, doing anything for money.
Yeah,
but he always had that threat of legitimate 3.5 years of jail time over his head, 5 years of jail time over his head.
Right, it was 5 years, and then they cut it down by, I believe it was the sports, someone who ran the sports organization in New Jersey and Atlantic City, and then the New York judge reversed that initial hearing, and that's how he got his license in '69. But regardless, I think, again, with Ali, I just go back to the fact that he might have been the most famous and most recognizable human being in 66 to 69. And despite fighting, and like what you mentioned, Shu, it's kind of sad that he built that platform and now boxers aren't even willing to fight each other. You got guys like Canelo who idolize Ali and yet who strip themselves from the belt and not want to fight somebody. And you just shake your head. It's like, what does this really come to? I mean, you got a guy like Ali who pioneered the sport and fit for everything. And these guys don't even want to get in the ring with one another.
Exactly.
Talking Ali to Ransom Bartholomew.
Well, talking the number one sport in the world. Like, when he was alive, it was the number one. Now, what is it? Fucking barely top 10. Doesn't even get a mention on the fucking sports websites or sports centres or the fucking Sky Sports News. And you need to fucking beg, steal or borrow to get fucking a fight to watch. The fall from grace for boxing has been dramatic since he's been no longer fighting. And even with him just being alive, kept the fucking sport kind of relevant. I'm worried for boxing now with him passing. It feels like an end of an era. You know, it's like The Wire when fucking Stinger Bell gets shot. You know, or fucking Gomorrah. If anyone's not seen Gomorrah, go watch that shit. The fucking top boss has died. Yeah. He was kind of retired from the game, but he was still kind of sneaking about. Everyone respected him. Now he's died. And
people are not going to watch it now that you give spoilers.
Yeah, but the one thing about that, Chew, is I don't know about in the UK, but over here, him being around shaking like that real bad at that point was a constant reminder that if this could happen to the greatest, it could happen to anybody, and you saw like participation in boxing steeply decline. So in a way, like, it kind of hurt. Like, seeing him all beat up like that actually hurt the sport at one point for participation, because parents are like, damn, if the greatest that happened to him, what would happen to my son? You're not going to bring your 9, 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid to the boxing gym. So it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of agree, man, but, like, I agree, and I'll get to that in a second, Kev. I just want to say that, you know, these other sports coming up, such as MMA, you know, they're fighting each other. They're fighting the best. What's the biggest sport in boxing right now? What's the biggest fight in boxing right now? It's Canelo Triple G. We can't even make it. Like Dan was saying, it's actually quite sad how cowardly that some of these boxers have become. And in regards to Ali's condition towards the end, listen, I've got nothing but praise for Ali, but really he deserves not criticism, but why didn't he just retire earlier? I mean, I think almost the kind of pressures of being boxing's ambassador kind of made him continue, because, you know, I don't think he needed the money towards the end. I don't know, to be honest. It was almost as if his ego got the best of him. He should have retired after the Foreman fight, and I think he even admitted that.
Yeah, but a lot of these guys just go on a bit way too long, though, don't they? And back then, Parkinson's...
Even in that condition that he was in, he still wanted to fight the best.
Yeah, exactly. Never mind these guys now who are in prime condition and looking for ways to duck. But I think sadly we need to go on unless anyone else wants to add anything else. Nope. Alright, Muhammad Ali, rest in peace, champ. Right, fellas, let's talk about the weekend's fights. Big one of the weekend really was Francisco Vargas versus Orlando Salido. Chew, the creep was fighting. I hate him at times. He does provide exciting fights, though. What was your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, before I give my thoughts, I just want to say I didn't catch the end of the fight, but I caught the vast majority. So if you mention anything after round 10, then, you know, whatever. I thought Salido, from what I saw, was landing the cleaner punches. I know activity-wise, Vargas was really dominating in that sense. But I don't think many Vargas' punches land. I've been quite surprised how subjective the scoring has been on this fight. I thought it was, from what I'd seen up there, I thought Salido was winning. He was kind of landing shots in between Vargas's. You know, like Vargas would throw a kind of sloppy wide combination and Salido would kind of nip one in there. Very surprised at the work rate. I wouldn't say fight of the year. You know, I said last week it would either be the worst fight of the year or the best, and it turned out to be one of the best. But yeah, I'm really surprised at how competitive it was, how technical it was in some parts. You know, I've always said Salido's a creep, but what I can't really deny is he can fight, man. He's got skills as well. He was looking like a fucking crafty veteran in some points in that fight.
The output as well,
and,
man. He just puts so many punches together. It's like, how does he keep going? Like normal guys would gasp by now.
Yeah, and he wasn't clinching as much in this one. I'm surprised. He's got a few dirty tricks in him, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was quite a clean, entertaining fight. And yeah, the gas tank, I mean, I hope he gets tested.
Well, they were both tested for this fight. That was the controversy beforehand, that one of Vargas's tests came a bit dirty with that contaminated meat. But yeah, Kev, what was your thoughts on Salido versus Vargas?
This fight of the year. I don't remember any fight being better. I mean, I enjoyed the Douglas Kurtz fight, but this was more competitive, I guess. But I don't know, man. I could watch fights like this all the time. If boxing was always like this, I would never not watch a fight. It's like just bombs away. People throwing a lot of punches, and each guy threw like 800 punches, and it's just the type of fights I like. And I like Salido when he was getting inside, was like throwing like most of his punches are usually wide, and he's not the most technical person, but when they got like in close, he would like kind of wrestle over Vargas's left hand and throw like a chopping right over his head, and he just kept blasting with that over and over again. But I didn't even score the fight though, but I didn't really see too much beefing about the scores on Twitter. So, I mean, I don't really have any issues with the score because I was just enjoying it. And I don't know, there wasn't a lot of separation, I don't think, in many of those rounds, so it was kind of hard to score, no?
No, I agree. Like, a lot of the rounds were very close. Both guys were throwing, and it's just, you just had to try and pick who did the cleaner work in that round, or who just slightly,
who might have inflicted the most damage or whatever in a single round, or who landed a couple more cleaner shots than the other. But I was enjoying it, so I didn't really score it, and I would have been fine with whatever outcome. But these guys looked pretty beat up. They looked like shit at the weigh-in the day before. They looked like refugees, man. They were hurting bad. They must have cut a. I was waiting for post-fight to come up dirty too, these tests, because they were looking really bad, like they were on a raft for a week or so.
Yeah, with Vargas in this fight I think he was too quick to try to engage with Salido, to show his balls, so to speak.
Yeah.
Obviously, the arena is a pro-Mexican arena, and you don't want to outbox or try to outbox someone for the entire fight, so I think he was too quick to engage.
Because he was in the first round, right, Dan? And then, like, the second round, the fight broke out towards the end of the round, middle of the round.
Yeah, and that's when he got hit with a lot of body shots, and I really think that took a lot away from his gas tank. And then when he wanted to revert back to that boxing style, he couldn't do so because he didn't have the energy levels to fight that kind of fight. And I think that fucked him over. Because I think Vargas is clearly the better fighter. I think skill-wise, and even in terms of his toughness and his power, I mean, it's not more than Salido, but it's enough for him to be able to win a comfortable decision against him. And I just thought he fought like shit, man. But props to Salido. I mean, honestly, you can't take anything away from him at all.
Lim, I got a question. What does it say about Vargas's power? Because only perhaps once in the fight was Salido really stunned, and he threw everything in the kitchen sink at Salido. Was it just a case of them exchanging so much that by the sixth round there was no snap left on the punches, or is his power a bit overrated with that Miura knockout last year? Lim, that was aimed for you, but if you're having connection issues, anyone else can answer.
Well, most fights you usually expect Salido to hit the canvas at least once or twice, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, that both guys got stunned a little bit, you know what I mean? But I think Vargas, who's especially like I said at the weigh-in, he looked real sucked out. He's got to be pretty big for that weight, and he's tall. You would think with the rep he came in with, he would have definitely made a bigger impression with his power, and I think that's why there wasn't much discrepancies and too much separation in each round where it was hard to score because he wasn't bringing the power I kind of thought he would.
Yeah, Cam, my bad. I feel like
just to follow up.
Go
ahead,
on,
Drew.
No, I just wanted to say that Salido kind of keeps his defence tight and chin down. Mura kind of leads with his pace. And although Vargas was kind of hitting him clean a few times, I never thought he kind of landed a clean shot on Salido like he did Mura.
That's fair, but Salido is chinny, man. Like that third sack guy had him down numerous times, and I think the HBO guys put a stat out there that Cunningham's the only other professional that's been down on the canvas more than Salido. So if Vargas is not like hurting him bad or dropping him, I'm asking questions about Vargas.
Well, maybe those body shots fucked him up. I know Dan mentioned that Salido was going to the body like from the jump.
That's true.
And I think that definitely took some sting off that.
That's true.
What are you going to say, Dan?
Sorry?
Sorry, I cut Dan off there. What was Dan going to say?
I don't know. Dan's dropped off the line. I don't know if he's having connection issues as well. But you guys want to talk about anything else regarding this fight? And I would still want mine to see the Lomachenko-Salido rematch. I know he was in the building looking through the souls of everyone as he was staring into the camera. But I'm happy to see that fight again. Vargas, I don't know. I think Vargas needs a bit of easy tune-up now. They were mentioning it again on the HBO commentary. I think he deserves a bit of a easier fight just to not engage in another war again.
Yeah, I would second that. He doesn't have to have a war every time he fights. I don't really know who he could fight in that division, to be honest. I think he's fought like most of the guys there. Maybe Roman Martinez.
Steven Smith will probably get a shout because I think he's got some type of WBC belt.
Yeah, why not? A nice easy payday for Vargas. And would I like to see Lomachenko fight him again? Absolutely. And I think
Loma?
Sorry, not Lomachenko. No, I'm thinking of Salido. Sorry. I would actually. I wouldn't mind seeing this Lomachenko Vargas.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, I think Lomachenko at this point schools both these guys. You know, team homosexual all day.
Homosexual stand up. Kev, anything else regarding this fight? Kev? I'll take it as a no. On the undercard, I know you didn't watch the undercard, but it was only one fight on the undercard. I know Rosado was on there, and apparently it was a bit of a war, but I've not found the fight anywhere, and no idea how to get hold of it. So if someone's got a link, hit me up or hit the Coalition Twitter up. But there was a fun fight between Julian Ramirez and Abraham Lopez, two undefeated guys from, I think they're both from California. I think it was at featherweight, but I think Ramirez can make super bantam. But he just recently joined Wayne McCulloch as his new trainer. And Abraham Lopez is trained by his father, but Julio Diaz was in the corner swearing at him, so that was quite entertaining. But it was a fun fight for the first 3-4 rounds. Both guys were just going all out. Nice engagement, nice combinations, but it slowly fizzled out a bit once the snaps started to go off their punches and both guys started to box a bit more. It kind of fizzled out. It's still a good scrap for a good couple of rounds. I enjoyed it, and that was that for the undercard.
Yeah, was that in the televised?
Yeah, it was just
televised.
Yeah, it was just that, and then the main event. It was Boxing After Dark, so normally when it's HBO Boxing After Dark, they only really have 2 televised fights. Rosado couldn't make it on TV, unfortunately. Pretty Boy Gang.
I've said this before, like a Top Rank show, trying to see a Top Rank card after the fact on the internet is very difficult. They've got the lawyers on the game, they've got their lawsuits ready to go, and they just shut the YouTube down. They shut all the bestfights.com down.
But it's so stupid because I'll tell you something now. When the Canelo bill was happening, I got hold of the 24/7s because HBO weren't posting them on their website, and when they did do it a week later, when the kind of interest is gone, people have got hold of copies. They were limited to just the US, so if you weren't in the US or you didn't have a VPN where you could connect to pretend like you're in the US to watch it, then you couldn't even see these build-up fights, and they're putting fights on pay-per-view, but then you can't see the build-up shows that are going to get you into possibly maybe buying the pay-per-view. And I honestly think it's kind of killing boxing, because look at Davey Boy. Like, Davey Boy posts fights from Matchroom, and Matchroom or Sky could go ahead and go to YouTube and get them pulled, but they know, well, it's promoting them. Like, why would you get that shit shut down? Like, a fight's happened. If people really want to get hold of it, they'll get hold of it. So leave it on YouTube. Let people type in Anthony Joshua, find his fight, watch it. Then they might buy his pay-per-view next time. It's really stupid move by HBO, in my opinion.
That's the thing, Cam. It's the hypocrisy of HBO, when the most pirated TV show in the world is Game of Thrones. And HBO's thoughts on it are, we don't mind it being pirated because it actually builds the popularity of the show. This is what the chief executive of HBO said about it. Actually builds the popularity of the show, and we work under the pretense that the people who are pirating, they don't have enough money to pay for HBO or to buy the box set. So when they do come into money, they will then go buy the box set, get HBO, and it will work that way. The money will come to them eventually, and they'll build new fans that way. And I know HBO recently in the UK they shut down all the kind of pirating sites to watch shows like Game of Thrones, but I don't think there's any kind of clear plan, any kind of clear vision when it comes to the things that is their bread and butter, the boxing shit like Game of Thrones and all their other TV series. They're really taking one step forward and 2 steps back. They're not thinking long term. Why would you want to? They're not going to put the fights on DVD for a fucking boxing fan to buy them in the shops. Boxing fans don't do that shit. They can just, like you said, Cam, they can find it if they really have to. They've got a friend to fucking send it to them, or use fucking a torrent or something like that.
Exactly.
It's really negative, backwards thinking. They're still thinking it's like 2005 when it's 2016, and everyone else, even Matchroom, credit to Matchroom, man, they've got the right attitude. Even fucking the UFC and all the MMA things and the kickboxing and the glory, they've got the right attitude. They just put that shit in fucking YouTube, and then a fucking fan might stumble upon it one day, and there you go, you've got one new fan.
Exactly.
Who might have money and then fucking buy your next pay-per-view. It's after 1 week, there's no need to fucking block or threaten legal action against someone who's doing you a favour, doing your job, saving you money by putting that fucking shit online.
Exactly. After a week, no one cares. So just leave it up there.
I have no idea why they do that, man. They don't want a guy like fucking Davey to get credit or glory, but he's doing them a favour.
Exactly.
And it's baffling. It's really fucking baffling. And Top Rank are the worst. Absolutely. I've been paying close attention to this and trying to find a Top Rank fight online. You'll maybe get one from a couple of years ago, but any kind of recent fights, nah, man. It's not even who fucking uses VPN. I know what it is, but it's so much fucking hassle for me personally, like if I want to drive a fucking car, I don't go into the next car and then I can drive that one. You know, you know, it's just like too confusing. It should be. It's too infuriating that such a fucking thing you have to do exists.
It is indeed, but unfortunately we do. But yeah, let's move on. I don't think you saw this fight, choose Better Beast Arthur Beterbiev. Did you manage to catch it?
Nah, I didn't. I've heard about it. That's not going to be good talking about it, but yeah, what happened, Cam?
It was a total mismatch. From what I read on Twitter as well, from some Canadians, is that it was pay-per-view, because everything Canada seems to be pay-per-view. But this guy that he was fighting, he was a blown-up super middleweight. I think he came in overweight as well. And he was pretty pathetic, man. I don't like to disrespect guys, but he shouldn't be in the ring with Beterbiev. And I was kind of defending Beterbiev on Twitter against with a few people, because I was saying, you know, he's just coming off that layoff he's had. I think it's almost a year out with that shoulder injury. So I was trying to give him a pass, but I think he could have, you know, with his background in the amateurs, and you know, with how he's been fast tracked, like how he fought Tavoris Cloud so early on. Like, this guy's the type of guy you fight in your second fight or your third fight. No,
this is the type of guy you bring in for like the first or second week of sparring when you have a long layoff. And that's the problem with PBC. Like, Beterbie's been ready to go, and they finally get him in, and it's in a meaningless fight. So it was basically unwatchable. It was. Like, what was the point of that? Like, when you walked away from that fight, you said, "Did we really need to see that?" Like, what was the point?
Most people said the same thing. Whoever I spoke to that was caught it, they were like, "What the fuck was the point in that?" That was his 10th fight. It has been a year almost. He last fought on the 12th of June last year. We don't need these type of fights. It doesn't tell us anything. We're just wasting TV airtime. What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to buy all these TV dates and spend all this money, you might as well put on a good fight or a meaningful fight, something. And it was just a card stacked with bullshit. And like I said, there's two good light heavyweights. Why aren't they fighting each other? Like you just mentioned, Ali would fight 3 fights, rematch. Fight them. If they lose, let the guy loses, and it's a good fight. Fight him again. Exactly. You know, it's a rematch you can get a year or two down the line.
Yep.
No big deal.
Yeah, they've got so many assets, PBC. I'm not just talking about Beterbiev, I'm talking about Stevenson, I'm talking about so many fighters that are just lying there, getting decrepit, and fucking their value goes down. It's like you're playing Monopoly and they've got the most expensive street, and then a fucking player lands on that fucking hotel, and then they just say, "Nah, it's okay, you can keep your money." You know, they don't cash in. It's really, they don't cash in on what they've got. I mean, they could put Stevenson and Beterbiev together. They could put so many good fights in and around that weight class, and even like a Chad Dawson, just put him in there for name value, you know, like. And I don't really know what they're up to. They've dropped the ball.
They got everybody. You have Fonfara fighting somebody who's you shouldn't be fighting.
Yep.
You have Stevenson fighting somebody you shouldn't be fighting. Beterbiev fighting somebody you shouldn't be fighting. Alvarez fight. You know, that's 5 guys that could be mixed and matched with each other. Instead, they're all fighting meaningless bullshit fights on primetime TV networks. Like it's bullshit. There's no. I don't know.
It's like if you're getting. No, I agree, Kev. If you're on prime time, now's the time to fucking match up the best against the best. They're just jogging on the spot. They should be running. I don't understand. It's like they're trying to run the clock down, but you've already done that.
Yeah. It's like Friday. There was no NBA Finals on Friday, and you give us Mickey Bay versus Francis Barthélemy as your as your big fight. That was the one time you're gonna have a fight against no football, no basketball, and you put a shit fight on. Like, it wasn't a horrible fight, but it wasn't a fight anybody really cared to watch.
On paper, it was a shit fight, but we'll get into that later. I actually liked the change from Barthélemy, man. I thought, Yeah,
it was better than I thought it was going to be, and Bay threw a little more than I thought, but still, it's a spike card that when Spike's TV guy says you got to start putting on good fights and get ratings, and they do 450,000 on a Friday night versus nobody, like that's not good.
Yeah, no, I agree to that. But we'll just stick on that fight quickly, Kev.
Damaged the product.
What do you say, Chu? You're going a bit echoey on his computerized.
Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, they've I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but they've damaged their product to the point of no return. They should just rebrand. They should just cancel the PBC because people are just going to associate that with shit. Just rebrand, cancel it, come back with something else because this has failed.
No, I gave them a year and like they haven't done enough for me. Like they started matching a few of their guys, but unfortunately for them, the fights didn't really turn out exciting. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, they wanna keep their fighters busy. They wanna keep their fighters happy. They want all the fighters to be contenders, and they don't want to risk any of these guys losing. But someone's got to lose.
Yeah.
So someone's got to lose if you fight them against each other. And I think what would happen is if the fighters who lost would probably leave. They would go someone else, and rather than risk that and emboldening a top rank or a golden boy, they're just happy for these guys just to kind of, stay busy fights. Here's a lot of money for a stay busy fight. It's not working. All you're doing is harming the sport.
No, I agree. But Kev, just going back to Barthélemy and Mickey Bay, I just expected it to be a boring ass fight. Every time I've seen Barthélemy fight, he's always, I don't want to say typical Cuban because that's stereotyping, but he's always a bit safety first. He just does enough to win the rounds. When he sees an opportunity to get someone out of there, he doesn't do it. He'll just step back and
no real grit.
Yeah, but this Barthélemy was different, man. I think he's been body snatched by a Mexican or something.
Yeah, he was moving forward. Like, he gave up his height and his advantages to actually try to make a better fight. Normally, Bay is one of those guys who's great on the pads, throws 25 punch combinations on the pads, and then gets in a round and throws 26 punches for the whole round. And he'll make a fight boring.
Yeah.
And Barthélemy actually forced him to fight, and it made the fight a lot better than I thought it was going in. And both of the guys have a pretty high skill level. It's not like a bum fight. I just thought it was a bad matchup for a fun fight, And it turned out to be a lot better than I thought. I thought it was a clear win for Rancis. I thought he was really taken. He got on a good run where he basically snatched 4 or 5 rounds in a row pretty easy.
Yeah, no, I don't know how one judge had Mickey Bay winning, to be honest.
Got that Floyd Mayweather money, kid.
It's that TMT judge.
Exactly.
I didn't see the fight, but I do find that Mickey Bay is not a joke opponent. It's actually quite a credible name, and it's really Rancis Barthélemy.
Before I cut you off, I would just cut you off. There was no opponent in this fight. It seemed like it was like a 50-50 kind of, just a lower level. I don't think anybody was really billed as the opponent. I don't know if you got that feel, Cam.
No, I agree. I think it was like a lower tier 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
But, they're doing that with a guy like a Barthélemy, and they'll chuck a Lara in there with someone like a Martirosyan. They can't really do anything with these guys. For whatever reason, they've got a reputation of kind of being spoilers. So it's really strange how that works. The guys who are not very popular on Twitter or with the box office, they're the ones fighting the 50-50 fights. They're the ones getting matched tough. And when really it should be the opposite. I mean, the more popular guys, your box office guys, the so-called big names like the Stevensons and the guys who are like linear champions, they should be getting the tough fights. And instead, it's kind of your Barthélemys of the world. They need to fight all the contenders.
Yep, just keep fighting the new contender. Don't really step up because they high risk, low reward. But yeah, all right, let's move on. Kev or Chu, what's up, Chu?
No, sorry, just move on.
Either of you catch the UK card?
see the UK card. No, I saw the Spike card and I saw the HBO card.
Chu, did you manage to catch any?
I didn't see it.
No.
Chu sounding like R2D2 over there with this phone, huh?
Chu's in the Scottish Highlands at the moment, where I don't think internet signal is at its strongest. So
I might just hang up and phone back or something. But the thing is, like, I'm actually in the Scottish Highlands. I'm on an island called the Isle of Lewis. So that's why I've been casual Chew this week. I've not managed to catch any fights because the internet connection up here is rinky dink, unfortunately, and I've just not had the time, unfortunately.
I'd rather have you on the show with a rinky dink connection than not have you on the show, Chew. So
that's what I'm talking about, man.
You still find time to snap on my hairline on Twitter, though.
I thought that one was going to slip past you there.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, man. I mean, if I'm going to pick any week to kind of go into the shadows, so to speak, it's probably this week, although I just wanted to really emphasise about Muhammad Ali. He was the greatest. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll phone back if the connection's bad.
Yeah, just try to call it back to you. While you're doing that, I'll just give my 2 cents on the horrible Box Nation.
Yep.
Basically, Liam Smith versus a bum. And I don't like to call people bums, but it's the second defense of the title. This guy was nowhere near his level, and he shouldn't be in a ring with him, to be honest. Warren again just protecting his higher level guys, even though Liam Smith's not high level. He needs to protect him because he hasn't really got anyone left. Everyone's either jumped ship to Eddie Hearn or gone elsewhere. So, not wasting too much of my breath on Liam Smith. Zolani Tete.
Is that a Smith or is that Callum Smith?
Callum Smith, the super middleweight, that's with Eddie Hearn. This is Liam Smith, he's the super welterweight.
Okay, yeah. Liam's not a bad fighter.
He's not a bad fighter, but we need competitive fights, though, Kev.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that.
Chew, your line's really bad. I'm going to try ringing your mobile like I usually do, Chew, yeah?
Aye, man.
Alright, we'll try that. But yeah, I was saying about Smith. Now I started talking about Tete, but I might just wait to try and get you on the line before I continue. Hopefully the Isle of Lewis in Scotland has better phone signal as it has 3G signal. Lewis.
Nice. Yeah, you know what? I like it when you phone me. It sounds like ghetto. I like that kind of audio.
You sound like you're in Baltimore with Wood.
Fucking this is tough. I'm on the fucking island of Scotland, like a Norse god. Viking on a Viking boat just gone across the fucking peninsula. Man, fucking, you were talking about Box Nation there. My question was Liam Smith. There's been a lot of rumours he's going to be fighting Canelo next. Is that true?
There are rumours, and apparently they were in deep negotiations just before the Khan fight got made, so I could see it happening, but Liam Smith's not going to do anything against Canelo, man. Canelo's massive. I know Liam Smith's also been calling out Kell Brook, but that's a bit bullshit for two reasons. One is Brook's not officially a 154 fighter yet, and two is he's on a different network. There's a lot of complications to make that fight happen, so by you calling him out, I think it's a bit of a bitch move, to be honest.
I totally agree. It's like you're in Manchester. It's like calling out someone from London. You've got all this kind of distance between you. It doesn't really make much sense, but you can understand why someone like that would want a payday, like a big name. The real blame in that situation is Canelo. Why would Canelo want to fight him? I don't really. I do understand that. Why would you really get the wrath of the boxing fan on your back once again after you've already upset them by not fighting Triple G?
Yep. Just quickly regarding the undercard, I was saying my boy Zolani Tete, bantamweight. I like watching him fight, man. I just think he takes a few too many rounds to get into it. The guy who was fighting, he should have took him out by the 4th round, I thought. He did end up taking him out, but in the 7th, he should have just done it sooner. He just plays with his food a bit too long, but when he does put the pressure on and starts putting shots together, he's effective, and Warren seems to like him, and he definitely seems to be in Warren's plans for the future. He's targeting Lee Haskins and McDonnell. Obviously, the McDonnell fight's going to be harder to make because he's with Hearn. The Haskins fight's quite possible to happen. That'd be a decent fight. I would pick Tete to beat Haskins, even though Haskins has the awkward style. The Tom Stalker fight, I thought it was quite average, man. Like, the problem with Stalker is because he's got no power. There's no X factor in his fights. He's got a good work rate, but each round's like the last, man. You just don't. You don't feel like there's gonna be, a sudden knockdown or someone's gonna get hurt unless he's the one getting hurt or getting knocked down. The Ryan Farag Karim Gurfi fight, that was actually quite good. It was getting a lot of talk before the fight. I think Farag won his European title away from home. Many people didn't think he was going to win it, and Gurfi's a bit of a road warrior, and he's come over here, and it was a fun fight for a few rounds, and I was expecting it to get even better, but the shot that Farag got caught with, I thought I didn't think that would end the fight. Like he looked very hurt when he turned around and he looked at the ref. I thought the ref may possibly let it continue. Obviously, didn't stop the fight in the 3rd round, but props to that Kareem guy. Coming on the road, his celebration was a bit too much. I think he could have calmed it down a bit because he was in Liverpool, man. He might have got bottled after the fight or something. No disrespect to our Liverpoodlian fans, but
so boxes like at Victor Ortiz, you throw bottles.
You mean Black Ski Mask Joe throws stuff at Victor Ortiz? But the last fight, Liam Williams, I know Leon speaks highly of him, and he's pretty good to watch. Very heavy-handed, good with the jab, beautiful bodywork. But again, bit of a mismatch with this guy. Like 12 wins, 12 defeats. Like, why is he fighting a guy like this? It's pretty unnecessary fight, 8-rounder. He took him out in 3. Again, like these Warren cards is just very one-sided mismatches, and we've got another one coming up on Friday with Enzo Maccarinelli. The undercard is abysmal, and the only reason that I subscribe to Buck Nation is for the for the American and foreign content that they get hold of, because their domestic cards are fucking terrible.
Fish eyes.
Fish eyes. don't get it suit you.
Fish eyes.
Quickly, I need
That's
to
class, man. Fish eyes.
I need to shit on my boy Paul Butler. He was supposed to be on this card as well. He missed weight and didn't allow him to fight, so he seems to be going up to bantamweight now. He's going to leave Superfly, growing a bit into his frame now, it seems. But I don't like it when guys miss weight. It's very unprofessional. So you need to fix up, Paul. And the week of the fight as well. Well, I actually found out on Friday. I wasn't really following any of the training. That he's left Arnie and he's started to train with Oliver Harrison, which I didn't know. So if anyone knows why that's happened, hit me up, because I was quite surprised at that. And I forgot to give Arnie props last week because he was at that Liverpool card with the Bellew undercard. He had a fighter on there, and he was in the ring with a big Box Nation T-shirt on, with shades on, just looking gangster, like he didn't give a fuck, man. So props to Arnie Farnell. And that's it for the undercard. Quickly have a little break, talk about Predictions League. We have Sully Boxing in first position, El Terrible in second, James McMahon 1 in third, Hands of Stone in fourth, Monocle 78 in fifth. Go on, Leon. Moen 10 in sixth with Cersei Joint. 7th we have Boxcar, 8th we have Inverness Mark, 9th we have Claude Bottom, and 10th we have Nam82. Chat room roll call: Tony Yayo, Pinhead 360, Casual Fan, Tickle, Cone, Doughmasters, PM Versus, Matt Lake, Overbruff, Court Music, Nunez 83, Mr. Dermo, Kevlar, Jason 268, Nothing for Something, Danny Yankee, Marky Mark TMT, Jas, Bill Bones 101, Die Hard Casual Fan, and 10 guests. Dan has jumped back on the line. Are you there, Dan? You might just be listening in for now.
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm in my vehicle right now, so...
In your vehicle?
I might sound... My vehicle.
You sound okay, to be honest. Do you want to give any thoughts on Beterbiev or any other fight that you saw on the weekend?
No, I mean, I saw Beterbiev knock out the other guy who was obviously out of shape and fat as fuck during the weigh-in, so I don't know how much credence you can give to that performance, but it just feels like Beterbiev is kind of in a wasteland right now. I mean, when is he going to fight someone? I mean, granted, his fight against Campillo was impressive, but since then, what has he done?
Yeah, like fighting Cloud and Campillo so quick. I think they rushed him, and now it's like they're taking their time with him. I don't know what their thinking is behind that. Because I like that.
I mean, and also, it's just a byproduct of the promotional situation.
That's true.
He has nobody to fight. He's too dangerous, and obviously he's not enough of a name for any of these guys want to step up to. So he's in a really, really tough situation. He's just too good for his own sake. Yeah,
that's true. That is true.
And regarding the Vargas Salido fight, I mean, I might get roasted for this, Cam, but as entertaining as it was, I just feel like it was kind of anticlimactic just because it didn't end with a finish or even a knockdown. And I know you kind of alluded to that, Cam, but in my opinion, if you're hitting a guy with such flush shots and such good shots, I mean, I expect a knockdown, and it's strange when two guys go to a decision after all that damage that they inflicted on one another.
Well, I had a conversation with Kimo over the weekend, and he was in a similar situation than I was a couple of weeks ago, where people were talking about the Klenga fight as fight of the year, and I'm like, wow, everyone's talking about this. Twitter's gone crazy. Boxing scene are talking about it. And I've gone to sit down and watch the fight. I've expected a bit more. I've expected some type of climax, like you said, some type of a tipping point where the fight changes and the next guy takes over. But I understand where you're coming from. Did you see the fight live, Lim, or did you catch it on replay?
Yeah, I saw the fight live, and I didn't feel like some type of way.
I don't know. When I watched the fight live, I was into it, but and I watched it again today, and I was still into it. So for me, fight of the year, because of the fight that is two high-level guys, and there was a title on the line, yes. But a funner fight to watch, and I've mentioned it before, and it's you think, oh well, these two guys are nobodies, and they kind of are. But the Conor Norman fight, I thought was a better, entertaining fight because it had more ups and downs. There were swings, there were roundabouts, it was drama. That's what I think this Salido Vargas fight missed a bit.
That's exactly what it is, Cam. It's drama. It's the peaks and valleys, and that's what makes a fight extremely entertaining, in my opinion. To me, this was just like a steady ride, whereas like a fight of the year candidate is a roller coaster.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Kimo said at the weekend as well.
I felt during. Do you think the fight of the year because the injury takes away from it with old boy Eubank, or was that just not competitive enough, or?
What, the Blackwell fight?
The Eubank fight, yeah, where he almost brain bleeded.
Yeah, for me, Blackwell wasn't competitive enough.
Yeah, but he won them early rounds. I don't know. Yeah, and same thing with I guess the Douglas fight. He would do some good things, but then he just kept getting beat up. So it wasn't really swings like Dan said, peaks and valleys. There wasn't really those momentum swings like where one guy took over.
That's why you need to
and
watch the
switch
fight.
back.
That's why you need to watch this fight that I'm talking about, Kev. I'll send you a link for it. You'll enjoy that one. But what were you going to say, Chu?
No, I was going to say, Kimo said that the Joshua White fight was the fight of the year.
Yeah, but that was last year, though.
Was it?
That was in December.
All right.
Was that even fight of the week?
I was going to say that I didn't think so, but I've never been really shocked at a fight really since the George Groves Carl Froch won. When I think about it, that was the last fight that made me go, "Wow!"
Yeah,
I can't really recall a fight. I can't really recall a fight since it's made me go, "Oh fucking hell, man! I love boxing." There's been fights that have been like, "Oh man, boxing," I enjoy it. But there's never been like a total surprise, that kind of struggle that's made me go, "Man, I fucking love this sport."
Well,
it's been a while. It's actually been a while.
Chu, I was talking to Mr. Fix of Caffeine and Hip Hop last week before the Salido fight, and really, like, this year, it's been a bad year for boxing, really, man. Like, fight-wise, like, there's only a handful of fights where you can say, that was a really good fight.
This decade.
True, but this year has been weak, and I think
yeah.
To Dan's and Chemo's point about this Salido fight, maybe we're trying to emphasize it a bit more than it is, just because we've had a drought of good fights.
Yeah, we're propping it up because in comparison there wasn't much good, and this year more than any year, because like even when we had like the Froch Groves fight where we had a lot of hype and build up and preview shows and people talking about boxing, like there's just no buzz. It's like people gave up finally, and no one even talks boxing unless it's PEDs or just a bitch.
Yep.
So that leads to like that there is no build up or anticipation for any of these fights, and then none of them are really delivering either. So like you said, you take a fight that's like a 6 and you make it an 8 or a 9 just because comparing it to all of the shit that you've been given.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's like if you've been in a pussy drive for about 3 years and you see a girl that gives you any glimpse of interest, you're automatically going to think she's a...
Oh, yeah. That'd be the best piece of pussy you had.
Because it's the only one you had.
Like your boy said about that Ritz cracker and Eddie Murphy in the stand-up. You ain't eating like 3 days, you get a cracker, you think that shit's like a steak.
What were you going to say, Dan?
No, I was just going to kind of elaborate on that, but you're right, Kim. I mean, we've been saying this for the past 3 years, though. Remember? This is like deja vu.
I actually think we're the jinx. It's like, since the show started, boxing's just gone shit.
And it sucks, man. It's just not... I don't know. I like I said...
Instead of saying thanks, Al, you could say thanks, Cam.
Yeah, I was going to say thanks, Cam, thanks, Al. And funny thing, I actually met... I met up Jose this past weekend in LA, and we went to this restaurant, and the waitress, she said she was Al Heyman's niece, and we just started talking to her, and I got her phone number, so hopefully she is Uncle Al's niece, because I'd be more than happy to whore myself out for a position at Heyman Promotions.
You won't get to see her again. She's protected.
Yeah, maybe. I might have to.
Was that at Ringside Robbie's KFC or Taco Bell?
No, Ringside actually moved operations to a Popeyes. So it was at a Popeyes.
Dan,
I fucking just say like 10 years ago. Like, how good was 10 years ago? That was like a golden era of boxing. I can remember like people saying 10 years ago that 10 years ago was shit. But man, 10 years ago was like paradise compared to what we're getting nowadays.
So in 10 years, will people say what we've been going through was good?
No, in 10 years, people will be saying this year is shit. But back 10 years ago, you were getting Manny Pacquiao against Morales, Barrera, Juan Manuel Marquez. You were getting all the welterweights fighting. You were getting fucking Mosley against Oscar De La Hoya and all that. all that kind of Mayorga. And really, 10 years ago, the heavyweight division was kind of shit, but you were still getting, maybe not in 2005, but towards like the 2000s, you were getting still Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, like big fights, you know. Now you're getting, I don't even have an example to give you. That's how bad it is.
Yep. I sent you guys a link to Joshua Martin Face Off, whatever it's called. Any of yous watch it?
I watched a little bit. Yeah, I watched the bit where Brazil basically said he could beat Tyson Fury with one arm, and he said that Joshua didn't deserve to get his gold medal. That was a gift, which it was. Anyone who watched Joshua fight in the Olympics knew that he got two gifts. He got two gifts in that tournament. He got a gift in the quarterfinals against that Cuban, and he got a gift in the final against, I think it was an Italian. But yeah, I mean, even though that's true, he's still going to get knocked out. And I just think the more you do these face-offs, especially with like a very kind of low-key guy like Joshua, the more they kind of lose their mystique.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the weaker face-offs that we've seen. He looked like he was trying to just play up to the cameras a bit, make a kind of fake anger towards Brazil. Chemo again had a conversation with me regarding, you know, Johnny Nelson, and I don't really think Johnny's good in that type of role. You know, when he's just trying to instigate stuff, kept asking Brazil the same questions. Charles Martin said that. Charles Martin said this. Charles Martin didn't do that. And you could tell Brazil was getting a bit pissed off as well, because he's like, well, stop asking me about Charles Martin. I'm not Charles Martin. But yeah, true. Like, the more you have these type of shows, and the problem is they've set a standard now. So every time AJ fights, they're going to have a face-off, and they'll have behind the ropes and this and that. And there's only so many times you can, find something new about that
24/7. There's only so many times you could see Floyd spend money or Manny go to church. You know, there's only so many times you could hear the same story over and over again.
Exactly. That's the same issue that they're going to have, I think.
Yeah, it's going to saturate itself, and I don't know. And I guess they're just starting to hype up, I guess, the Porter Thurman. I saw Showtime put some stuff on YouTube about it, but instead of Johnny Nelson, we have that guy who looks like, I don't know, like the Situation from Jersey Shore's uncle or whatever, fucking doing the interviewing and shit. And it's not good either.
Well, quickly, while you mentioned that, stay on that topic for a sec. What's your thoughts on Thurman Porter, like, promotion-wise? Because obviously
it's been awful.
Yeah, it took so long to initially get made. Then there was the Thurman so-called car crash injury, and then it got remade again. The initial fight was, upstate New York, I think. The second fight, well, the redate was Barclays. I just think it's a fight I'm really looking forward to, but a lot of the steam has gone off the fight. A lot of the energy it had initially, it's kind of died away.
Definitely. And if you think about it, basically at the start of the show, whenever it started years ago, this was like the first like fight that we started talking about. Like, hey, what's going to happen when these two fight? You know, and so it's something that was anticipated, and they just completely dropped the ball. There's zero buzz for it in New York. And Chemo hit me up and was talking about the prices on the secondary market that are so much cheaper than like the face prices. And if it's 3 weeks out and they're already dumping prices, that means just nobody's buying tickets to come to it. And they just haven't. I don't know what the answer is. I've never promoted a big event. I don't know, but I don't think this should have a problem selling. I think a fight like this should be easy to promote, and it seems like they just haven't been able to because no one gives a fuck about it. And I know it's a couple weeks away, but you don't. Whenever there was big fights that are a couple weeks away, you'd still see Twitter debates and people like, we don't have shit else to talk about or do, so we always talk about something, and there's just no mention of it. Like you said, there's no buzz around the fight. And it's a fight that should have buzz, you know?
Yeah. It's like, Kev, can you remember when Stone Cold Steve Austin got run down by a car?
Oh, yeah.
It turned out
and then they took off.
it turned out it was Rikishi. It was just like a buzzkill.
Yeah.
You know, like even that whole thing with Foreman getting whiplash and shit. I would have sold the fuck out of that. I would have said that fucking Kenny Porter fucking sabotaged the wheel or something. You know, fucking
It's collusion.
Or fucking Nestor Gibbs. I know fucking he's team Porter. He could have fucking smashed the windscreen or something.
Yeah, the most promotion I've seen for this fight was Nestor Gibbs sparring Sean Porter, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, what have these guys done for the fight? It's like they keep delaying it. Well, this is the second time, and bizarrely, it's probably got less buzz than they did the first time. So, just a strange time of year to have it as well, like the summer.
I was talking about Ali earlier and how he travelled the world, and it just seems to me that boxing's in a very dry period in the States at the moment, and this type of fight would be ideal to have, you know, in another country somewhere, set a precedence, you know, go to Wembley Arena or the O2 in London, or go to just another big fight city around the world, you know, and have a show and make an event of it. Because like Kev was saying, Kimo had the same conversation with me about the ticket prices, and I'm thinking, if a fight like this is doing poor in New York, which is a fight city, then what hope have you got?
They're defending their corners, man. It's like The Wire. It's like they don't even need the corners anymore, but they just want to defend it. You know, it's they really should do what you're doing, or you're saying. Go to Dubai, go to the UK. That would probably sell out in the UK.
But like you said, even Dubai, like, be that first big fight to happen in Dubai, set that precedence.
You know, leave it to an 86-year-old guy like Bob Arnold to try new avenues. You know, at least he's gone to Macau and trying something different. You know, trying to broaden the horizon. But I mean, it must not be good for like the psyche of boxing as a whole if you're fighting in half-empty arenas when it's meant to be one of the biggest fights of the year.
Exactly.
You know, it's like any sport, man. This is meant to be the premier boxing champions, and you're fighting with a half dark arena because you couldn't sell the arena out. It's bad. It's a bad look for the sport. You know, everything suggests winky dink.
Yep.
Shame.
I agree. All right.
No, if I could just follow up on that, Keith Thurman was supposed to be a superstar. You know, I don't know if you guys remember, but back 3-4 years ago when he was being promoted like crazy on HBO, he was supposed to be a star. And look at him now. And I think it just goes to show you that shitty matchmaking and a lack of good opposition and a lack of activity, or inactivity rather, that this is what it leads to. This should be a huge fucking fight. Like you.
Dan, to your point though, like on parallel, him and Triple G, HBO around the same time, and one company made Triple G a star, and another company which had way more talent in their division to match him up with, can't even sell fucking the lower bowl of the Barclays at face value.
Jeez, I mean,
it just highlights how bad they've done as compared to somebody who came up alongside them. You know.
Yeah, that's just again the matchmaking. I just think they got too cute after they had that good year in 2012 or 2013, whatever it was, when Golden Boy was having their fights on Showtime every single week. They just went through a dry spell and they didn't put any of their guys against one another. And this is what happens. The people just lose interest and they just stop caring. I mean, Keith Thurman is talking all this shit about Danny Garcia, and this is like me defending someone I hate versus someone that I loathe. But Keith Thurman hasn't fought anybody at welterweight after his win against who was the guy that he fought at Step Up with the body shot that he stopped?
Was it Julio?
What's his name? Diaz.
Julio Diaz.
Diaz. After that, he was on a fucking roll, you know, and people were just talking about his one-punch knockout power. He's one-time Thurman. That's what he said, right? And after that, what has he done with his career?
Knockouts
It's
for
sad.
life.
Him and Danny Garcia have the same best name on their resume at 147 pounds. And Danny Garcia just moved up there. So it sucks because I used to be high on these two guys, and I used to care a lot about this fight, but it seems like I'm kind of falling into the casual perspective now, and I'm kind of losing interest in this fight too, and I'm going to the fight in 2 weeks. So I don't know what to think.
Yeah, it's like boxing's turned into gate crash. What do you call that thing where the gate crashing? Tailgating. That's it. With all the Americans, they all have a party in the car park, the parking lot, before the actual event. That's what boxing's become. No one actually goes to the fucking fights expecting a good fight. They just want to go up and meet fellow boxing fans, like in that kind of gimmicky sense. As for Keith Thurman, you've not made it in boxing until Jim Lampley gets emotional talking about you. So he should have went to HBO a long time ago. I know people were talking about it like a couple of years ago. Is he trying to get out of his Al Heyman contract or whatnot? He should have. I bet he regrets that. I bet he's going to look back in his career in like 10 years when he's past it, and he's going to be like, "Fuck, man, why did I take that easy money when I should have went to a network that would value me?" That Jim Lampley would fucking introduce him as he was coming to the ring. Oh, fucking Keith Thurman, he plays the flute. No, that kind of gimmicky shit. That helps, but because that
and they said they were going to be active, but they're not fighting 3-4 times a year.
They're barely fighting twice a year.
Yeah.
When was the last time Keith Thurman fought?
Sorry to bring back Ali, but when Muhammad Ali came back from retirement in '69, he had 6 fights in a single year. The year that he came back.
Yeah.
You know what that is? He's trying to make up for lost time. In that case, these guys take a year off and then have a fucking easy fight.
Yeah.
These guys have their fucking fight sparring. You're trying to tell me that, like Kev said earlier, Beterbiev didn't get a tougher sparring than that guy he just fought. And that's the mentality of these fighters nowadays. They just want easiness, the road to fucking least resistance.
It's the Mayweather era. Lowest risk, highest reward.
It's a business, baby.
Yeah, man. What you don't understand is this is a business, and y'all ain't real welterweights. How do you say it, Cam? Welterweights. How does he pronounce that shit?
Welterweight.
But redistribution.
But just to play devil's advocate to that, you know there's going to be a bunch of boxing fans saying to you, Kev, that at least Mayweather's got his health and he's got his bank balance, and look at Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. No one told Ali to stay around 4 extra years, you know. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, I could play devil's advocate too, and this could be the most cold and heartless thing to say, but that's why we watch a sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. If you really gave a shit about someone's health, you wouldn't be watching this sport in the first place, you know? If you were this moral martyr, so to speak, and you cared about these guys' lives, then fucking do something about it. You know, but no, you guys are watching, so...
Yeah, it does sound cold, but, like, yo, these guys aren't my family, like, you know?
If I had a family, I would tell them to not box. I would implore them to not fight after a certain time, you know?
100%.
Muhammad Ali's a bit like Ned Stark. You know, fucking Ned Stark sacrificed himself for his pride, his honour. That's what Muhammad Ali done, you know. He sacrificed himself for the love of boxing. You know.
But to further expand upon that, just like Ned Stark, he kind of died in vain, right? He died, his son fucked him over, and all of these so-called other friends of House Stark aren't doing shit. If you've seen the most recent episode,
all right, you guys are giving too many. You guys are giving too many spoilers away.
This is a great analogy, man. Let me speak.
That was kind of a reach.
No. All these great fighters used to pay their allegiances to Muhammad Ali and Ned Stark by all their Instagram posts, you know, commemorating the champ, so to speak, and they're not doing shit. So that's where the analogy lies. I'm right, you're right. Tell me I'm right.
Yeah, man. And Layla Stark, she's Bob Stark.
All right, let's move on from Game of Thrones because otherwise we might have to start.
Did I feel Layla Stark there? I meant.
I thought you were gonna say Layla Ari. That's what I thought. I thought there was some type of joke in there. But
Anybody see Adrian Broner on National Donut Day with his picture in front of Dunkin' Donuts?
well, that's just him in a nutshell or in a donut.
Yeah, man, just doing work. He was looking big too.
That's
He might eat his way out of welterweight too. He might be like the first 5'5" guy to eat his way into super middleweight.
Hey, Kev, it's all part of the plan, baby. He's planning to be the first 5-time world champion at 5 different weight classes.
While making $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. All right,
You know.
let's move on. Let's move on before we start a Game of Thrones podcast. Chew, Team Homosexual. He's back on Saturday at the Garden. Again, HBO going against. Is it Showtime? No, it's HBO with Lomachenko going against. Yeah, it's Showtime with the card in Turning Stone with Ruslan versus Molina headline. But the undercard's quite decent. You got Andrade versus Willie Nelson. Zlatakannon's making a return. The Ricky Burns conqueror against a late replacement because the initial guy I think got injured. And another decent fight. Willie Monroe Jr. is fighting John Thompson. 2 winners of Boxino. Monroe won it at 160, and then Thompson won it a year later at 154. So I think that'd be a good scrap as well. But just going back to the Lomachenko card, headlined by obviously Lomo versus Roma Martinez. Felix Verdejo's on there as well against, I don't know who this guy is. And Zhu Shiming's back against a guy Andrew Selby knocked out in 4 rounds, I think, in his which fight was it? Safi? I'm sure it was like Selby's 4th fight. No, it was Selby's 2nd professional fight, and he knocked this guy out in 2 rounds. And Zhu Shiming's fighting him on the undercard, so that's not very good. But Chu Loma, what were you going to say, Lim?
I'm sorry, just Felix Verdejo for that matter, Cam. This guy, I'm so sick and tired of Verdejo. You know why? Because I see all these pictures of him having like little media workouts in different boroughs in New York City to, obviously to try to market to the Puerto Rican population. And I don't know why people are even there. Like, why do you even care about this guy anymore? Until he fights someone credible.
The thing is, Dan, can you pronounce his name?
I don't think anybody cares about him.
Can you guys?
If you were at his last fight at the theater, that was a Crawford crowd. There was very few people there for Verdejo.
Can you guys pronounce his name properly, though?
Felix Verdejo.
I'm sorry, Felix Verdejo.
Verdejo.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Like
he needs to step up now. We've kind of discussed it for the last few
casino.
fights. But yeah, he needs to step up now.
Yeah, he needs to step up, Cam. Yeah, I totally agree.
But you just going back to Loma quickly. I'm kind of, again, I had a conversation with Kimo, and I'm kind of on his side. Like the way Lomachenko stepped into the professional game. It was very exciting to see. Like the first fight, is a bit of a, just the opponent wasn't that great, but it was a kind of just first fight, see how it goes. Second fight was Orlando Salido. Third fight was Gary Russell. But his last 3 chews, it's frustrating me, man, because Lomachenko's better than this, man.
Yeah, we know he can fight going backwards, but I don't know, his fucking career could go backwards as well. He's a professional Benjamin Button. It's really bizarre how you could have your first 3 fights are harder than your next 3 fights. I've never seen that before, man.
Yep.
And you've got to shit on him. I'm team homosexual all day. He passes every eye test in the book. That said, I think obviously someone has spoken to him. Maybe it's his manager, Igor Klimas. Maybe it's HBO, maybe it's Bob Arum, who knows? But they've maybe just told him to calm down. You don't need to fight a beast every time. That said, I'm sure it's tough to get an opponent for Lomachenko. I mean, who wants to fight him? He would school you, and he would school your kids. You know, even if he's not fighting your kids, you know, the schooling would be that bad. You'd pass that on to your kids. You know, like fucking Joe Fraser passed on to his boys. You know, they would feel it. The kids at school would torment the fucking. Anyway, you know where I'm going with that analogy. But fucking Lomachenko, he needs to step his fucking game up. I don't even know who he's fighting this weekend. To be honest with you, it doesn't really matter.
He's actually fighting a decent opponent. He's fighting.
That's what I'm saying. I was kind of lost for a second there. This isn't the greatest fight in the world, but it's not that bad. I mean, Roman Martinez is an incredible fighter at 130, and he has a belt, doesn't he?
He's fighting Rocky. He's fighting Rocky Martinez, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got the WBO super featherweight.
You can tell I've not been on the internet for a while.
But, and also regarding his negotiations with Walters, wasn't Walters just pricing himself out? I mean, it's not like this guy wasn't clamoring to make that fight happen, so...
Yeah, okay, Rocky Martinez...
He wanted to fight Rigondeaux, but Rigondeaux wouldn't come up weight. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know, because Rigondeaux's in such demand, he don't want to come up weight for fights, you know, so...
Yeah.
I'll see you in 3 years.
Great point, Kev. Spot on. But regarding the just going back to Lomachenko, it's funny. I give him all the props in the world in terms of how eager he is to fight all these guys, but I'm still not as sold as you are, Chew, on the eye test, just because to me the eye test is kind of linked to your opposition, and like you guys just alluded to, the only name that he really has that's a win on his resume that I give him credit for is that wrestle fight. So I'm just waiting to see how he does. But if he does school Roman Martinez and just absolutely blitzes him, then I'll give him his props. But I mean, Mikey already did that two years ago, so it's not like he's doing something that somebody hasn't already done.
Ricky Burns.
I was gonna say Ricky Burns beat Martinez.
Yeah, but not like Mikey did, obviously.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I forgot all about what he was fighting Rocky Martinez. This is actually, I think Rocky Martinez is a name. It's not a challenge for him. You know what's going to happen. It's going to be a schooling.
Yeah, he's a very average name.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, I never really rated Rocky, man. I thought him as just the average guy that does everything okay. But it's still a decent test for Loma. It's better than his last 3 opposition.
Yeah, I just hope it's not a president. When you go, Dan?
No, he's stepping up in weight, so that's always something that adds to the puzzle, I suppose. But I'm interested to see Lomachenko move up to 130 because I don't think that's his optimal weight division. I've seen the guy in person a couple of times, and he's not a big guy. I mean, obviously that's an obvious statement to make, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like 126 should be his best weight class in respect to his size.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do. I think that's a mistake going up that weight class.
Kev, you got any thoughts?
I won't be there.
You're not going to the Garden?
No, and I usually go almost every fight, but it just doesn't interest me, this fight.
Is this at the theater?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's my favorite place, probably, to watch.
I bet you could host this fight in your backyard and it still won't sell out.
And my backyard's not that big either.
Yeah, just invite the entire city of Long Island, and I'm sure about 40 people will show up.
I saw last weekend when the Vargas Salido was showing that Lomachenko was in the crowd, and you know sometimes boxers, when they get the camera put on them when they're sitting in the crowd watching the fight, they're kind of awkward. Lomachenko was smooth as fuck with it, almost as smooth as he is in the ring. It was just like, immediately he was just like looking the camera dead in the eye. It's just like, yes, I'm the top man. I'm the best boxer in the world. And to be honest, he's got that mystique about him. You know, sometimes when I've saw him give interviews and stuff on the internet, even if his English is kind of broken, sometimes he doesn't even convert it in English. he's just got that vibe about him that very laid back kind of thing. Like, I'm the man. I've put the hours in. This is my time. I'm ready to conquer. The only thing holding him back, I would say, is his promoter. The fact that he doesn't speak English. He's lacky punch. Quite a few things actually. He's lacky punching power. But really what he needs is a guy of a similar talent to bring the best out of him. He's not really got that, unfortunately. In the featherweight division, I think if he just waited a wee bit, he could have a couple. He could have an Oscar Valdez. That'd be a good fight. Or, just wait in that division for someone to emerge, because I don't think it...
I think Lomachenko could have been... I think Lomachenko needed a fight 4 times a year as opposed to that one opponent, because I think he's the type, the more you see him, the more you'll appreciate him and like him. But they didn't keep him busy enough, like the way they did with Triple G, so I think that was a big mistake.
Great point. Yeah, of course. That's the thing. Like, you're putting him on pay-per-views, on undercards and stuff, and not everyone's getting to see him. And even then, it's not on a regular basis. What's happened? Has he been injured? What the fuck's he been?
Yeah. And that's the thing, because you might have that one opponent, and it sounds good on paper, it looks good on paper, and then the fight looks like shit, and it disappoints. But if you put him out there 4 times a year, and you see him against 4 different styles, and he just looks good and impresses, that is a better chance of building, as opposed to just sitting around and waiting, or only fighting a guy. There's not enough dates. HBO doesn't have enough dates. But
the thing with Triple G is, though, he's got the knockout power that you could put on every couple of months and people would pay to see that. I don't know if you could do that with Lomachenko. Unfortunately, he just doesn't finish guys.
And you got to pay him, I guess, like a main event guy, so you can't just undercard him.
Yeah. It's like, if you're going to put him on, you'd probably be the undercard or the co-main. If that's what the majority of his career's been. Well, he's in a tough spot, man. I don't really know what the solution is for him.
Just for the people in the UK, this Lomachenko card is on Box Nation, and the John Molina Provodnikov card is on Sky Sports. So those 2 channels going head to head, just like Showtime and HBO, which is a shame, man, because I looked at the schedule for this upcoming month with a lot of sports happening, and there's a lot of gaps where they could have spread them out, but I guess they don't want to clash with other big sporting events in the summer, which I understand. Let's move on to the other card then. Ruslan versus Molina. I could see Molina getting really hurt in this fight, because with Ruslan, if you're standing there in the pocket and you got a bit of a shaky defence, even the denim of Goosen can't save you.
Yeah, this is a Devon get the tables match, stretcher match, fucking casket match. This is everything, man. This is Provodnikov. He's going to destroy him. Molina. I've never been a big fan of John Molina. No, Dan's not a big fan. And I think Provodnikov's going to be hungry.
Yeah, but I actually think this is going to be a decent fight. I could see Molina clipping Ruslan if he gets a little bit too aggressive. And I actually think John Molina does his best work when his opposition gets overly confident and while he's hurt. And he's able to just land one of those bombs with his right hand. It's kind of like that Mickey Bay situation. Mickey Bay was overly aggressive and he sensed blood, and rightfully slow, but he just got a little bit too aggressive, and Molina fucking just destroyed him right after that. So Ruslan has to be really good.
Lim, when have you ever seen Ruslan really hurt?
You know what? That's a fair question, but at the same time, there's nobody's chin will withstand his power from Molina. So I feel like that's a moot point, because I don't think any kind of chin can really withstand that punch.
The problem is he's got to land the punch. Like a guy like Broner is too fast because Molina's so slow and sloppy. But to your point, like he did his best against the Matisse, who was coming forward and looking to end the fight. So maybe that'll be the similar situation, and we get a fun fight against Ruslan.
I think it will be a fun fight. I just think that Molina's going to get demolished.
Who, what's a big puncher that Ruslan has really faced? I mean, I know Matisse is a big puncher, but I think in terms of one-punch knockout, I actually think Molina has more one-punch knockout power than. You know what? I can't say that, but it just seems like the Matisse that fought Ruslan wasn't really there to kill. If you guys know what I mean, it seemed like he was fighting a smarter fight, and he wasn't putting everything on his punches. So, yeah, I mean, I still pick Ruslan by a demolition job, but I just think it's going to last a little bit longer than people think, and I do feel like Molina is going to have certain spurts of very short success in the early rounds.
So, Cam, did you say Denim Dan's going against Molina now?
No, I said that I don't think he's going to be able to help him.
Oh, okay. So, because I know Ruslan has a new trainer. Who's his trainer?
He's with Joel Diaz, Bradley.
Diaz, okay, yeah.
And is this Ruslan's first fight on Showtime as well, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I think they're setting him up for, like Chu said, a get-the-tables moment. He's a stretcher match, casket match. I think they're setting him up to lay Molina out and really look good and light a fire for them.
Yeah, this is like for me a 100% Provodnikov fight. I don't see a way that Molina can win. I think Molina's shot. Molina might be taller than Provodnikov, but he doesn't use it.
Yeah, he gives it up.
You know, he gives it up. He fights inside. He tries to be like a. And I mean this in no disrespect, because I think John Molina in his prime was a good fighter. I think he's kind of like a Diet Pepsi Diego Corrales. You know, he just comes to the centre of the ring, fights your fight. But that said, I mean, anyone can be hurt, but I think Provodnikov, for as much as he can be outboxed, I don't think you're going to win a fucking brawl with him. And I think John Molina, in essence, is a brawler. And there's no way that John Molina can win this fight, in my opinion. You're not gonna knock Provodnikov out. Even if you beat Provodnikov, you'll take fucking years off your career. He took years off Bradley's. He took years off fucking Matisse's.
Alvarado.
Algieri. Was Algieri fucking the same after he fought? I mean, what wins has Algieri got after that? You know, it's like he's just one of these guys that.
Alvarado.
It's like, Alvarado, exactly. You just got a fucking grueling, grinding style, and it's interesting the fact that he's with Joe Diaz. I'd like to see what kind of changes he's made, but a wee bit late in his career.
You'll make zero changes.
See, Dancing, I don't know, you sound a bit negative towards Ruslan these days now that he's left the wild card.
Oh, come on, man. Don't try to make storylines when they're non-existent. I just think Ruslan just disappointed me by his bumminess, just inherently. And it's sad because everyone at the wild card still loves Ruslan. Like, everybody loves the guy, but they're just so disappointed because he just never can make the tactical adjustments in the fight. You know? So, that's all.
You convinced me to pick Ruslan over Matisse. I'll never forgive you for that.
Well, it's because, like I said, he does all the right things in training camp, but he just never knows how to turn the switch on in a fight. And that's why Joel isn't going to have any kind of impact on Ruslan, because he's such a brute. He's such a, I hate to say it, but he's a simpleton when it comes to his boxing IQ.
And the problem is, if he wins, they're going to be champion. Joel Diaz, he's back with the new trainer that made such improvements. It's the same narration all the time. Meanwhile, he just did the same thing. He just had the right opponent in front of him.
I was actually thinking, Provodnikov's got that Eskimo mentality. You know, he's got that catch a fish with a spear mentality. You know, they're not playing chess in Siberia. Joe Diaz is like, Joe Diaz is like unlucky as fuck, because look at what he done for Tim Bradley. And look at the fucking love that Tim Bradley gave him. Nothing. It's almost as if, I don't know, it's like he's going to be one of these guys where he's never going to get the credit he's due. But it doesn't help, because I think you've picked someone like Provodnikov where, that fucking fuel tank's on empty. You're not going to get very far with him. It's a shame.
All right. Andrade versus Willie Nelson. That's a decent fight. It's a 12-round result, which has surprised me because I thought it might be a 12. Sorry, it might be a 10. Not read anywhere whether it's a eliminator or anything, so I'm high on Andrade. I just he wasted a bit of time when he had that situation where he was going to sign, and then he wasn't going to sign, and then he had the Charlo fight lined up, and then he turned it down, and he's been a bit in a limbo after that. But I think he's probably one of the top guys in the division, so if he gets a good win over Nelson, hopefully he might get some fights with some of the top guys. The only issue is now some of the other top guys are over with Heyman, so I don't know what he's gonna do about that, because I think he's re-signed with Star Boxing after he had those issues with him. So plus he's a Southpaw brethren, so
hey, no disrespect, Cam, but you're a bitch.
I actually need to find...
Andrade gave up throwing Chuck Liddell shadow boxing punches at fucking reporters, and he's gonna actually get in the ring.
I need to find that interview, man, because that was classic. That
was the most classic interview ever.
That's a soundbite interview as well.
Well, it was. I seen that interview. He was giving the interview like psycho shit.
It'll be sad because Andrade, when his career is all done, people aren't going to remember him for his fights, but they're going to remember him for that sole interview.
Yeah, it was bad. It was very bad. He's a good fighter. I don't know, man. He's another wasted talent at this point.
And he's so fucking big. No homo,
Huge.
but he's huge.
Kevin,
he was at that card. Remember, he fought Brian Rose at the card in Brooklyn where I saw you at. He looked like a full-fledged middleweight.
I have no idea how him and Jamal Charlo make that weight class.
Got to kill themselves.
It's so big.
Yeah, I agree. He's a wasted talent. Another businessman in the sport of boxing.
The thing is, he's still only 28. He can turn it around. He's still got good years left if he knuckles down and stops messing about. I still got high hopes for him.
Yeah, I did hear
It's a good win here. So if he could carry a good win here with momentum going forward, that could be, and gets another good fight before the end of the year, then it could change things around.
Let me ask you guys a question, though. Do you guys consider Willie Monroe a good opponent?
He's fighting Willie Nelson, no?
Sorry, Willie Nelson, yeah, the country singer. Consider him a good opponent?
I think it'd be a good win if he stops him. You know what I mean? I don't think it's not like he's fighting the elite level, but it's a top 10 type of win, top 15 type of win. So if he could do that and then follow it up by being somewhat active and fighting again before the end of the year, say in like November, October, and get a win, then at least he's on the right track. But if he goes out there, gets a decision here, and now he's not fighting again until next March, it's like his fucking career's over.
Yeah, I totally agree, Kev. If he stays active and slowly fights better guys, gets himself into a position where he's fighting a top guy, then good. If, like you said, doesn't fight until next year, then what's the point? Might as well just retire now, wasting time.
Who was that guy that Willie Nelson beat recently that had a lot of hype?
I think that was it Tony Harrison fight where he was losing it he turned it around and stopped him late in the fight. That was a good scrap, that as well.
Yeah, I think this fight's a little bit more competitive than. Wait a minute, who's Andrade fighting? These guys not on the same card, but they're not actually fighting each other.
Andrade's fighting Willie Nelson.
Really? Shit, man. Yeah, man, that's a tough fight, man.
I disagree.
Why?
Because I think Boo Boo is just on a different level than Willie Nelson.
I think Boo Boo at the top of his game is clearly better. Another level.
He lost to a decision against Vargas, right?
Exactly. Vargas, and it was a pretty clear decision he beat Willie by.
Yep. And I just wanted to follow up with that. is that Andre, as dumb as he may be in interviews and shit, he is aggressive. That's the one thing I do like about him. And I know Brian Rose means absolutely nothing, but just the type of aggression that he showed and his willingness to engage and throw heavy-handed punches leads me to believe that when he hurts Willie Nelson, which I know he will do, he's just going to pounce on that. So
Yeah.
I think this is going to be an easy stoppage win for Boo Boo.
And like opponents, I know it's not triangle theories, but, Boo Boo beat Vargas pretty, handily, even though he had a couple scary moments early, awkward moments early.
Yeah, didn't he get dropped in the first round?
Yeah. But he basically took over a fight and went on one of those runs where you win 5-6 rounds in a row and basically steal the fight, just win the fight right there. And Vargas is one of those guys that has always been a level below the top guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where Willie Nelson sits in.
I've always liked Andre. I know a lot of fighters, a lot of trainers don't like his fight stance. They don't like that wide stance where you can really lean in on your punches and you're giving up your mobility for your ability to stand, for your ability to sit on punches. But I feel like he does it well, and I feel like he can get away with it because he is so freaking big for that weight class. So I like Andre. I think he's the best guy at the weight division talent-wise.
If you have a wide stance, you got to have a good chin or be good with parrying punches because, like you said, you're giving away mobility. So, if you could deflect and parry punches, you're still in good shape, especially when you're that size. You just want to counter right away and get on top of somebody. So,
yeah, he looks nice, man. And again, I know Kev, you and I were at the Brian Rose fight, and Brian Rose could have been our plumber for all we know, but hey, he looked damn good doing his business. So. I think he's impressive, man, and I think he's going to win by impressive stop Saturday.
I don't know. I really don't know. Just to play devil's advocate, it's something I actually strongly believe. Who was the last? Who was the last opponent that Andre fought that was on the level of Willie Monroe? We're talking years. We're talking like a Muhammad Ali length of fucking time out of the game where he's not fought anyone in a competitive fight. I mean, Kev's calling Willie Nelson a B-level fighter. I disagree, man. I think Willie Nelson has always been untapped potential. He's been like this really fucking tall, lanky, kind of Paul Williams-like kind of fighter. But now he's at the snack gym. He's working with Victor Conti. He's fucking doing something different because all of a sudden he's fucking punching with a 40. He's beating guys who... he's heavily the underdog and he's coming out with wins. He's not just fucking coming out with wins, he's knocking guys out. And if you listen to the fucking the chat and the gossip in that area, apparently he's been beasting it in the gyms and shit. So
what are you talking about you?
Willie Nelson's always been a look like Tarzan, fight like Jane type of guy. Like he always had like the perfect body and look, and he's never really shown much with it.
Now for me,
I feel like I'm writing the script to some kind of Cinderella story, or some kind of Disney. Like, what are you talking about?
We'll see, man. We'll see.
For me, Nelson doesn't fight the way his body frame is. Like he should keep it at the end of his jab, but he prefers to tear it up and fight on the inside. And he has some success sometimes, but if he was a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? If he just stuck to the game plan a bit more and used his strengths and his size and his length a bit more, I think he'd just have a bit more success.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And I think he did improve since the Vargas fight because I knew somebody that was consistently in his camps when he was in the Midwest. And then since he went out West Coast, I think he's just gotten a higher level training and sparring and just being around better guys, which, tends to make you better. So it's a matter of how much better did he get? Did he really close the gap that much? I don't think so, but I would like to be proven wrong. I've heard good things about him and stuff, so I would like to be proven wrong, but I think it would be shocking to me if he goes 12. I wouldn't be too shocked, but I don't know. I could see him getting knocked out in 8-9 rounds.
Yeah, I think both these guys are like good fighters, but Willie Nelson has had to work kind of like a Ricky Burns would for every kind of prospect that he got. Whereas Andre has just like a kind of Terence Crawford, like natural talent. He just kind of just attempted to piss it away. But now he's back. You know, I don't necessarily think that talent beats hard work every time. I think Willie Nelson's in with a shot, man. I think it's like a 60-40 kind of fight. I definitely don't think Andrade steals him. I could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. This is like make or break for Andrade, man. Like Kev was saying, if he loses this fight, then, you know, you might as well give it up.
I know this is triangle theories, but Manes to me is still a better fighter than Willie Nelson. And the way that Andre was able to beat Manes with ease, I feel like he does the same shit to not Andre, but Nelson. I think Nelson's such a poor fighter, man. And I feel like you're doing a huge disservice to Paul Williams when you try to compare him to Paul Williams, too.
Listen, Paul Williams is without a doubt the better fighter. I was just talking in terms of a very tall, lanky frame who fights on the inside kind of fighter.
Okay.
I'm not making the comparison in terms of resume. You know,
I understand, but I guess indirectly, that's the impression that I get, even though that's not what you said. That's just kind of what I surmise that type.
And
of
you're
comparison.
thinking those two names shouldn't even be compared at all, regardless, because it's just two different levels. Yeah.
Willie Nelson is just not a good fighter. I don't think he's a good fighter.
Listen, I know this is controversial, and I've got nothing but love and respect for Paul Williams in terms of the fucking bravery he shows in the ring. He's another guy who fought everyone, but I do think after that accident he had, his career has been somewhat overrated. I know that. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree. Absolutely. He was a very good fighter who knew how to utilize his advantages, but when he got in the ring with someone who was kind of equal to his talent level and closer to his size, you know, he kind of floundered. But that's neither here nor there. I just feel like Willie Nelson he may have the same kind of style and size that Paul Williams does, but my God, he's so shaky. And that Manes fight, man, he looked piss poor in that fight.
I gave the inside info. I knew he had a bad camp that fight. I made some big money on that Vargas fight.
Who looks good against Vargas? You know, Lara.
Andre.
Yeah, but I mean, did he knock him out?
That's when you know you really schooled someone, Kev. When he asked you if you knocked him out. God, come on, sure.
No,
I thought he was going to just say you're correct.
I've seen that fight before, but I can barely remember it. So it's not like it wasn't like a joke I was actually Jeff Lacey kind of thing where it's like fucking chiseled onto my brain. You know, I can't remember that fight, man. Was it a great performance or what, man?
No, it wasn't a great performance, but it was a very, very decisive victory for Andre.
I mean, that's good. I'm glad that you hold Vargas, Matt Erosion in such high regard, both of you. I'm really, really delighted with that.
Well, he's certainly better than Willie Nelson. That's all I know.
I don't know about that, man. They two fought, man, and that was
beats the other. The argument pretty much ends, no?
No, that was an 8-4 kind of fight, Matt Erosion, Willie Nelson. That was competitive, though. I watched that fight. I actually thought it was a good fight. Both for London. No, I think looking at it objectively, Willie Nelson is slightly below Matt Erosion. But I think he's improving, and that's the difference.
All right, fellas. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we go?
Nope.
Excellent. Just before we do go, the intro I used to start the show, it was a piece on YouTube made by Absolute Motivation. They make really good motivational videos, so definitely check them out. And I want to thank you guys for being on the show today, all the people in the chat, and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next week. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour, who
became the #1 flymate in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the song, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Feels great.
Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass.
Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side. But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you? He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weighed for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.